Welcome to the How Did I Get Here podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Poley. Coming up next is a conversation I had with Mindy Segal. Mindy is the owner of Mindy's Bakery in Chicago, Illinois. Mindy Segal, thanks for doing this. Thanks for being on the podcast. So normally I start with a whole list of questions of how did you get here? How did you start cooking? But with you is different. I feel we have so much to talk about.
Yes.
I feel like we've both been on a crazy fucking journey for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna get right into it.
Go.
Tell me about your spiritual journey.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a big one.
We have loads of time.
I feel like I feel like our spiritual journey begins so early in our life. We just don't know it.
Yeah, you don't see it.
You don't know it.
Yeah.
You're not aware of it. And it takes a very long time to figure shit out.
Uh-huh.
And, I've been on this amazing journey, for 35, 40 years of just, of baking and cooking and owning a business and, marriage and divorce and it's all taken me somewhere,
Uh-huh.
It's like, it's all meant to be something. And, I can honestly say that for the first time in my life, I feel like, not that I've arrived, because I definitely haven't arrived yet, but I feel like I'm getting somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So how did it start? Like, how did you start to take control?
Well, I think I started to take control, but then I would take a couple of steps backwards,
Yeah.
and then I would, get a grip kind of, and then, take control. But I think all of it is about wanting to be something, wanting to be successlike, and whatever that means when you say success, because that's such a broad.
It's like personal.
Right. I mean,
is
is it like fame, or is it like what is
family
success?
in a house in the suburbs?
Yeah, like what is it?
Money.
Yeah.
Right.
What is it? And so I think it takes you a long time to figure that out. Once you figure out what is success to me, or to you, or to whatever, I think then you begin to start your path.
Yeah.
Because your path only begins when things are more clear to you.
Right. So what is success to you then?
Well, success to me is being able to change people's lives, and that could mean through a pastry, through something that I created. It could be giving someone an opportunity.
Yeah.
It could be being a friend,
Yep.
looking somebody in the eyes, but it's changing people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is my calling in life. And I understand that now, and I embrace it. And in fact, I thrive on it now because, making people happy that's what gets me going every day.
Right. I mean, well, some people would look at that and say that's crazy.
No, it could be for some people.
For some people.
But that's not true for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's taken me a very long time to get here. I want you to understand it doesn't happen.
I get it. No, trust me, I get it.
And
Yeah.
I will use this as an example of something that I learned. When I started doing just the bakery and I closed hot chocolate, and I was doing the bakery out of hot chocolate with the window on the weekends, I had a young girl come and work for me, and it was like in the morning when we had done the whole bake with her. She was doing the bake with us, and we set up the window full of pastries, and I took her over to the window and I said, "You see this? Do you see everything in here?" That took 40 years. 40 years of really digging in the dirt and sorry, that's mine. Digging in deep.
Yeah.
Whatever that means, digging in deep. And so, when you look at your life's work at, 40 years, and you say, oh, it took me this long to do this. It's like, I don't know. It's like, now I can move on.
What's different from the bakery from hot chocolate?
Well, first of all, I when I opened Hot Chocolate, and this is the truth, the first thing that I said to myself inside, my inside voice said to me, what, can I swear?
Yeah, fuck
okay.
yeah.
Okay. So I was like, what the fuck did I do with my life?
Right.
You know, like, what did I do? Like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't like this. You know.
What didn't you like about it?
Well, I didn't like the fact that I wasn't just doing pastry,
Right.
and I wasn't focusing on what I love to do and what I'm good at.
So did someone talk you out of just doing
No,
it, or you
I
thought
talked myself
you
out of
thought
it.
you had to have a restaurant attached to it, or
No, I when I knew that I always knew I wanted to have my own business.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, originally, I wanted to own a like a luncheonette.
Yeah.
With great pies and stuff, like real 1950, like real.
Sure.
Do you remember Leo's lunchroom?
No.
Where you were about? Okay, that's before you. Okay, well, there used to be this really cute little place called Leo's Lunchroom, and it was like kind of cool.
Uh-huh.
Well, it was very cool. I thought I would open up a luncheonette, but I didn't, and I really wanted to also like have a bakery, but at that time in my career, I didn't know anything other than restaurants. Mm-hmm. So I thought, okay, well, I'll open a restaurant. It'll be dessert focused, and I'll have like a little case in the front, and that's what I did. Mm-hmm. But like, I didn't realize, there is major truth about. Sorry, we're fixing our ovens right now. Sorry.
So anyone who's listening, we're inside of the bakery right now, and the oven is being under construction by two guys that are on the phone looking for parts.
Yes,
so.
Exactly. There is something to be said about the more you, and I know this is such a cliche, but the more you think you know, the less you know.
100%.
And it's like that humbles you. Mm-hmm. But my journey, my 15-year journey at Hot Chocolate was not a good one. Mm-hmm. That's where those 15 years were probably the worst 15 years of my life.
Jesus.
Yeah, pretty bad.
So where did it start? Day one of opening?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And at that point, it was too late.
It was too late. I think I kind of like went with it blindly,
Was it one of those things where your intuition, your gut was saying, don't do this, but you went with it anyway?
No, well, maybe, because I don't know. I mean, I do know that when I walked down the aisle when I was getting married, that I was feeling a really weird feeling, but I didn't know what it was. And now I know what it was that I should never have gotten married.
Yeah.
And you don't, people will tell you that all the time, that they get married and they walk down the aisle and they feel weird, but they don't know what that feeling is. And then all of a sudden they realize that it was like, oh.
But isn't that life?
Yeah.
Teaching you lessons?
Yes.
Like sometimes you have to go through, have to go through something horrible to come out the other end to realize 100%. What you wanted to do.
I say we're all at the same train station.
Yeah.
But we choose different destinations.
And different times to get on and off.
Different times
yes.
and different agendas, and it's the truth. I mean, life is a journey, and that journey, you're never going to, you have to, and this is, I think, hard for, I have two things to say. This is hard for people to understand, because when you're in it, you're so blinded. And I think that part of becoming spiritual and aware, self-aware, and just everything is that when life is throwing you like a curveball, you sort of embrace it better and you enjoy the process and you welcome it.
Yeah.
Because you know that on the other side is going to be this huge growth experience, and it's okay. And the good thing is that in the those 15 years that were so horrible, and I was not a good person, and I did some bad things, and I have forgiven myself.
Correct.
And I have surrendered to life and to love and to the sky and the moon. And I know that sounds... It's
just resonating because...
It's just me.
No,
so,
it's resonating because I had that same type of experience.
You did. Yes, I know you did.
And it took me how many months of being in the jungle in Bali, of doing jiu-jitsu and yoga and meditating, to... the mantra of just let it go.
Let it go.
And after 40 days straight of doing yoga, the things that were bubbling up from 10 years ago that I was clinging on to that I didn't even know, that were like, you got to get rid of this. And I emerged, definitely not enlightened, but I have a better grasp of the things that I want in life. a better grasp of understanding who I am, and that helps me make better decisions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Well, thanks. I think we'll wrap it up now. So you're at Hot Chocolate. It doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I'm at Hot Chocolate. Doesn't feel right.
Uh-huh.
I made some changes. It just never felt right. And it got really bad towards
But from the
end.
outside looking in, you're getting amazing press. The restaurant is busy. You had a 15-year run. I mean, that from the outside looking in, it looks pretty successful, but you were miserable inside.
Well, yes, because not everything is Instagram.
Well said. Yeah. The dilution of the American life through social media.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, so the thing is that so many things are ironic now as I look back, because my 15-year, I always knew that after 15 years I was done.
Uh-huh.
So I was making the plan to close, and I was going to close May 30th of 20. Mm-hmm. And then the pandemic hit,
right.
And I just never reopened.
Yeah.
But it's like, how crazy is that like I planned on closing the year the pandemic happened, so I didn't have to go through this whole thing with my staff and press and bullshit, like that bullshit,
pivoting,
you know,
and to go.
Yeah. You know, it's just like everything is smoke and mirrors. And so if you truly love what you do and you love to cook and you work on your craft and you're there touching and feeling things, you know, it's like nothing else is important.
It's not, but so many
Nothing.
shiny objects get thrown our way to distract us, that get us off that course, though.
You got to stay on course.
So what were some of the things that got you off course at Hot Chocolate?
Well, I mean, obviously the beard.
Yeah.
Nominations and win got
right.
me off course.
How so? I mean, those are huge.
Yeah, they're. I guess. I mean, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
I don't. No.
But at one point it was important.
I mean, I think that when I received the award, it was still a good time for. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. I mean, did I deserve it? Maybe. I don't know. I don't even care anymore.
Did you think you're just over awards? You got to a point where, at least for me, awards were so important in the beginning of my career, and it was important to me because I thought, if I win this award, then I'll have job security, then I can start calling my own shots. It's like that old drug commercial. It's like, I work more hours to buy more drugs, to do more drugs, to work more hours, to make more money, and it's just this revolving circle.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought it would be like. I would win these awards and I'd have some sort of job security. I'd have some sort of investors calling me. And it just got to the point where I just realized I didn't need any of that.
Right.
I could do it myself.
No, you don't.
I could do it myself.
Yeah, I think that, you know, naturally in any profession, you want to be acknowledged for the work that you do. And so we are kind of lucky that we do get accolades for our work. And then you realize that the accolades that you're getting are coming from people that maybe shouldn't be telling you that you're good.
Right. Right. Yeah.
You know, and so, but that comes with age and maturity. You know, it's like what was important to me, you know, 10 years ago is not important to me anymore. You know, I mean, like I said, what's important to me is that I change someone's life,
right. Whether
it's through a pastry or it's through a job or it's through just being a friend.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, just running a successful business.
I mean, I've always, and even before I got the award, I always was the kind of person that felt that the best, I never believed in PR. I always felt like the best PR you could ever do is to shake people's hands that are in the place that are in,
hospitality.
Yeah. I mean, you know, yeah, whatever. I mean, so, you know, those kinds of things have never been, you know, I always, you know, like used to have a chef that worked for me. And, you know, he was really big on getting acknowledged for his work. And I kept saying to him, well, I just want to let you know that when you get acknowledged for your work, you have to work harder to prove that you deserve that acknowledgement. And I do believe that. I believe that, you know, and so I built this bakery to be here, to work in it, to work on my craft personally. So I could have this space that I could, like, I mean, the stuff I'm working on I think is very cool. It's very original to me. It's, it's interesting. I'm teaching myself so much.
What lessons did you learn at Hot Chocolate, good and bad, that you brought here? Not bad lessons, but obviously,
Don't open a restaurant if you don't want one. I think to know when it's over, and to know that you should. I shouldn't say you should. I think that what I learned is that for me, and it's just me, I can only do things that are authentic to me. I can't pretend that I'm something I'm not. I can't be anything other what I want to do. Like my gut feeling. And so I'm learning to not react, but to think things through before I make a statement. And I also think the less you say, the better it is.
Yeah, I could agree with that. What kind of, so your spiritual journey, what kind of like meditation or yoga, what do you do on your spare time?
I don't meditate. Well, maybe it is a form of meditation, but, first of all, I absolutely love being alone.
Yeah.
And I think that being alone is very important.
I agree.
And, I think a lot. I think a lot about life. I mean, I do smoke a lot of weed. So, and I do microdose from time to time. So it's like I am very open to my mind and to thinking things through. And I always, and it's funny because I never was like this before, but it's always a positive journey for me or a thought for me. They're positive. They're intentional. So I don't think I sit and like meditate, but I do think a lot, and I work things out a lot. When I'm walking my dogs and stuff like that. But I will tell you something, and I think this is the greatest thing that I have ever learned. I swear to God, I learned, and it wasn't long ago. It was very recent that I learned that, the love of my life is me.
It's you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I try very hard to instill that in everybody that I talk to and meet, is that, if it's not you, then you can't give enough to somebody.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
So that's important. That's like super important.
Yeah, I was in a couple horrible relationships because I hated myself, and I didn't know it. You don't know you're mistreating yourself until you get to that point of you have to fix it. That's what an amazing realization that is. If you can't love yourself, you can't love other people. If you can't be kind to yourself, you can't be kind to other people.
No,
and
true.
It's very cliche to be like, be kind to yourself, but what does that actually mean? What does that mean? What specific things have you implemented in your life that you do on a daily basis where you're recognizing that?
I've accepted myself.
Yeah. With
Good
all your
and
flaws, with all the flaws,
Yep.
with all the quirks,
Yep.
with all the insecurities,
Yep.
with everything.
Yep.
Yeah, and
Everything.
lean into it.
And I lean into you.
Yeah.
Are yep. And okay, so I believe that in your life, everyone that you encounter in your life is a messenger
A lesson.
to you.
Yes, I agree.
And whether you are receptive to it and open to it, or you are conscious of it, you just never know. And I have a friend that lives in Iowa, and I was visiting him, and I was hanging out with his friends, and we were at this bar, and one of his friends was this really interesting guy. I'm friends with him now, and I don't know, some really interesting. He was something to me, and I was talking to him, and he's a musician, and so he kind of he tours a little bit. He's not huge, but he's a musician, and we were talking about being jaded. And, because I used to love to say, I'm just a jaded old pastry chef, and what he said to me? He said to me, and it was the way he said it, he said, well, do you know how you cure being jaded? And I was like, you just tell people you hate them? I mean, like, what do you do? Like, how? I was like, really? Did not know. And he says to me, and I swear to God, just like this. He says it to me just like this. He goes, just surrender.
Yeah.
Like, surrender. And he said that to me, and I was like, wow. It was very profound for me to hear because, he's right.
Mm-hmm.
He's right. And so, surrendering is a very important thing in my life now.
Well, it's an important process to go through, but I feel like for me it was like the last bit of almost recovery, like for identifying the problems was the first one, problem solving, how to fix them, forgiving myself for this, and then for me the surrender came from being happy for my enemies or people who I thought were my enemies, where if somebody had opened a restaurant, I didn't, why does this guy fucking have this or that, and being jaded, where I would send them a text or write them a letter and say, you know what, congratulations, I'm really happy for you. And how hard it was folding up that envelope and sending it off. And sometimes people would message me back and sometimes they wouldn't at all, but putting that energy out there to say, listen, I'm on my own fucking path, and the fact that you have something that I might be jealous of, this is not bothering me. So here you go. Congratulations, man.
I want you to know I'm like literally sitting on your lap right now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And genuinely being happy for other people and their successes.
Yeah.
And letting them know how I feel.
Right.
And it means so much to somebody when you say to them, congratulations, good job, or, oh, that's beautiful, your cakes are beautiful, or you're, whatever. And I do that all the time now, and it's insane.
And not expecting anything in return.
No, of course not.
Yeah, which was the hardest thing, and once I overcame that, I don't know if liberated is the right word, I was on my own path. I got out of the traffic, and I just got on my own fucking road. It's
what I call the closer you're going to get to the ultimate state of enlightenment.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is what I am in search for.
Yeah.
And I'm getting there. You know what I mean? Like, I'm getting there. I'm not perfect, but I'm getting there.
Right.
And, it's funny. So, are you watching at all the documentary about Nexium?
No.
Do you know anything about it?
Nothing about it.
Okay, well, it was what we would call a cult.
Yeah.
A cult. I can't pronounce that. And it's just like, it's like Scientology. It's like how to control your emotions and your responses, and getting yourself to a point where you're like a robot. And I would never want to be like that,
right.
But I think in a way, like, I understand what they're trying to do, even though they're trying to ruin your life and take control over you.
There's something good to learn here, though.
It's how, and it's a rhetorical question, but how do you live in pure joy and peace in your life?
Right.
Like, how do you do that? You know what I mean? And I think one of the answers is by being kind.
I think Lex Friedman, I don't know if you know Lex Friedman is, he has a podcast. He always says empathy is the only thing that's going to save the human race.
Actually, I don't agree with him.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that's going to save the human race is microdosing.
Well, yeah, that too. Which makes you more empathetic, which gives you a better worldview.
100%. Yeah.
Speaking of microdosing, you have an edible company.
Yes, I do.
How did that come about?
I'm just putting more time into my car,
right.
So I don't get a ticket.
Great.
Because my mom will kill me if I get I have an edible company.
Yeah. So how did that all come about? Were you into weed when that happened?
Well, I've always been into weed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I had an older brother. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I was getting high when I was in junior high.
Yeah.
And it's okay. My mom knows, so. Yeah, I've always been into weed. I have an overactive brain, so smoking weed kind of like, I'm an indica girl, so it's like, it shuts my brain off. And
Yes.
so to come home from work after working a 12-hour day, with service, it's like, how do you shut your brain off? Well, some people drink excessively, and I used to smoke. So, yeah. So I think that I've always been sort of like an irreverent chef, maybe, I guess. And so I was approached when Illinois became medical, and I was given the opportunity to create a line of edibles. So I was basically given like the keys to, the vault, pretty much, early on in the industry's inception of becoming legal. And I created a line of edibles with Cresco, and I had a wonderful team, and I was just a small part of this great brand that says my name on it.
What is the process of making edibles, though? Like, did you know anything about how to make?
Well, I mean, I did, but not like as
scientific as it is.
Not like working in a lab with guys that have been doing it their entire life in Colorado. You know what I mean?
I think the amazing thing about where weed is right now is they've been genetically engineering this shit to do exactly what you want it to. Oh, you want to go to sleep? Here you go.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to be up? Here you go. Yeah. Right.
Totally.
Yeah.
I agree. And I just, so, I mean, we sat around a table, and I remember, them saying to me, like Charlie saying to me, well, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I want to make my brittles, because I make all these brittles. And then, the process begins. But now, there's an ideation process now, and I think what makes my edibles so great is that it's from the mind of a pastry chef, not like a lab.
Yes.
And so there is a story behind everything that we do, and it's my story that I'm trying to tell.
Right.
So, they're delicious.
Yeah.
I just wanted to create a delicious, accurate edible that made sense for people that were interested in doing and partaking, and maybe not knowing anything about it. But if they see, oh, well, she's got this restaurant, she's got this bakery, I'm going to try her stuff. There's a face to the brand.
To it, yeah.
And there is, and it's me. And I'm very, I'm there, it's good.
Yeah. There's a documentary about Charlie Trotter that's coming out.
Yes.
Have you seen it?
No.
Yeah.
I'm not in it.
You're not in it?
I have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think that sometimes things are better left in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you work there?
I never did, no.
Oh,
no.
yeah.
I thought about it, and then I just never got around to it.
It was an interesting experience.
Yeah. Want to talk about it?
I mean, there's really not much to say. I mean, it was an old school brigade system, and it was, in the 90s, and, it was a time where, I mean, first of all, Charlie is brilliant. He was brilliant. He had a vision, and, he, for a while, that restaurant was amazing.
Yeah.
And it really was. And it was a model for what everybody else, hold on a second. This is very important. This could be part of the podcast.
Yes.
Are you guys done? Is it not working? Thanks, guys. Love you. Mwah. Okay. The worst is when your oven breaks down.
Yeah.
The worst.
Is there a fan on? The hood on?
Hold on.
You hear that buzzing?
Yeah, it's the hood. Can you hear it?
Can you turn it off?
I don't know how to.
Okay, great. Let's keep going.
I don't know how to. Yeah, no. I forgot what we were talking about. Charlie Trotter.
After Charlie Trotter, you went to MK?
No. Where did I go after Charlie Trotter's? No, I opened a restaurant in what now is Restaurant Row on Randolph Street. It was called Palladino's.
Oh, shit.
But it's not there anymore.
Right, yeah.
I was supposed to open Marché.
Yes.
But I didn't love the co-pastry chef. I'm sorry I'm saying this. And so I kind of like avoided that. But then I went back and I worked there.
Oh, you did work
I worked at Marche.
And that's where you met Michael.
That's where I met Michael, yeah. So I always admired Michael.
Great guy.
Yeah. And so, I mean, he has been a mentor in my life. So big part of my life.
So how did being a pastry chef at restaurants doing plated desserts set you up for hot chocolate, where you wanted to be a bakery? Did you always just want to bake?
Well, I
mean, they're two different things, right?
Yes, very much so. I think that, so even though I was just a pastry chef at restaurants, I was always one of those pastry chefs that was very involved and very active in the kitchen and working with, I mean, part of being a pastry chef of a restaurant is that you get to work with a chef and you get to create food or pastry that is compatible with the food. And it works when there's one agenda. You know what I mean? The pastry chef must understand their place in the scheme of things. And it's like you work at a restaurant and it's the chef that is driving the concept of the restaurant. And so, and I loved that. I loved working with the chefs and their food and trying to figure out what would go really well with their food. I really liked that. But I also wanted to be the boss. I wanted to drive the food. Even though I wasn't maybe cooking it, I wanted to like be a part of it more. And I guess for some reason I always felt like I knew better than everybody else, but I certainly didn't. And I learned that pretty quick and early on. Very early on. But I do like cooking. I love cooking. And so I do a ton of I do all the savory in the bakery. So I don't really make cupcakes anymore or stuff like cookies. I don't do that anymore. I do more of the savory stuff. And I really like it.
I always hate it when you're at a restaurant and you have an amazing meal and then the desserts come and you feel like you're in a completely different restaurant, a completely different mindset, someone else's vision.
Right. Well, it's like, first of all, if you're a pastry chef and you're applying for the job of a pastry chef for a restaurant, you better really understand what the chef is. Because if you don't like the chef, you ain't going to work out.
Right.
So either like it and believe in it and be part of it or don't. Because it's the chef that's driving the food. But I wanted to have a restaurant where the pastries but we, I mean, even to this day, I love working. I mean, my greatest joy is to make dessert for somebody. Like after someone's, like a chef, like for you, like if you wanted me to come to your restaurant, I would love to make desserts for you. Like I've always said, I would love to be his pastry chef. Man, I'd love to be his pastry chef. God, if I could be Charlie Trotter's pastry chef now, this was like years after I was at Hot Chocolate, I always felt like, and I even wrote him a letter. I was like, man, if I could be your pastry chef now, man, I would just do such a good job for you. I would destroy it, But, you can't go back, so it's fine. But in fact, I wanted to write a book I wanted to write like a memoir kind of book that was I forgot what the name I wanted it to be, but it was something like, the desserts I would make for Charlie or something. Even though I was his pastry chef, I want to be, I would want to be his pastry chef more, which is funny because, it's no longer there. But.
A huge pivotal moment in our friendship, I'd say, is years ago an article came out, how you overcame your anxiety and how a horse saved your life.
Truth.
I was really touched by that because at that moment that article came out, I was like balls deep in my own self-reflecting bullshit. I didn't want to cook anymore. I was having a very hard time in life. And I sought out chefs inadvertently that I just always wanted to work for respect that eventually helped me along the way and got me where I am today. What was that whole process like? And how did you first acknowledge that there was a problem?
Well, I do want you to know that at that time that a horse saved my life, which it did. I still had a lot of work to do. You know what I mean?
But that was the beginning of identifying the problems.
It was beginning to identify that I wasn't happy.
Yeah.
I was, I don't know, maybe 3-4 years into hot chocolate, and I started having this overwhelming feeling that, like, I ruined people's lives. Like, that my parents came to work for me, and I had all these people working for me, and I started thinking about their family and how their family was dependent on me being successful because their person was working and paying rent with them. I started having this overwhelming feeling. I didn't like the chef that I had at the time. I hated him. And I was pretty fucking miserable. Mm-hmm. I was having panic attacks like every day.
How did it get to the point where you're bearing the weight of feeling responsible? Because
I'm the owner.
Well, yeah, but isn't it like if they can't pay their bills or they don't like it here, they could, why don't you quit?
But right, no, it just, like, I felt responsible for everybody,
okay. And
it was coming from a good place.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right.
Yeah, it was just like that burden of owning a restaurant mm-hmm. and being the owner, the sole owner, and I knew that I needed to do something to get out of where I was, to get myself in a situation where I could learn and get tools to make myself get out of it. And so I decided, someone told me, it was Karen Harold. She mm-hmm. told me about...
the designer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She told me about a place, Miraval,
mm-hmm.
and she told me that she went there, and she went there for, like, I don't know, she was telling me. And so I went there. And I went there for, they have a couple of different programs. Like, there's bereavement, there's eating disorder, and then there's stress management. Mm-hmm. So I did this, like, week-long stress management course. And I went by myself. I learned how to breathe when you were having a panic attack, all that kind of stuff, which is interesting now because I know more now about anxiety than I did then.
Yeah.
And I know what anxiety is now, and I know, and I'd like to talk about that in a second, but I'll tell you the story. And Michael Corner called me, and he said, I hear you're at Miraval, and I just want to tell you that you should stay an extra day and do the equine therapy. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. So I signed up for it, stayed an extra 2 days. And, I'm waiting in the lobby to take the van, to the equine ranch or whatever. And I am already having anxiety. I was having such anxiety, like I could not breathe. And I was uncontrollably crying. I could not stop. It was the craziest thing. And I'm in the van with all these people that are doing this experience, and I'm like sobbing and I kept saying to everybody, I'm really sorry. I'm in this moment right now. There's nothing I can do about it. And we get there, and the experience is that you're supposed to walk up to a horse and pick their leg up, and they will naturally pick the leg up for you. But you have to, horses they're mystical. Yes. They're a mystical animal.
They're in tune.
Mm-hmm. And if they feel your energy, they won't pick up their leg. And so, I was having anxiety. I was literally having anxiety about this in the lobby, knowing that I had to do this. Well, so I get there and I do it, and the horse doesn't pick up his leg, and I'm like literally, like I'm over. Like, it's over. My life is over.
I just failed.
Completely. Mm-hmm. And this young cowgirl comes up to me, and she goes to me, well, what's wrong with you? And I'm like,
how much time do you have?
I'm like, I can't, the guy, the horse won't do what I want him to do, And she's like, well, maybe... She goes, well, what's going to happen if the horse doesn't pick up his leg? And I'm like, well, I guess he just won't pick up his leg. Yeah. And she goes, well, are you going to be okay? Are you going to be you? And I said, yeah. And she said, well, then when is enough going to be enough for you? And it was like, bong, 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 boom, bam, boom, parting of the sea. I was like, oh my God, fuck, she's right. I'll still be me. Mm-hmm. I just won't be able to pick up the leg.
Yeah.
So fuck it. So I went back and I did it. and the horse picked up his leg. And then me and the horse were like totally hanging out for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, I get it. I get what anxiety is. Anxiety is knowing that you're going to have to confront a fear.
Yeah.
And you're afraid of what the outcome will be. You're afraid. That's what anxiety is. It's all fear-based.
Right.
And it's like, so what happens when you confront your fears? You actually do what you're going to do. Now, you might have an anxiety attack and you might have like, but what happens after you have an anxiety attack? You get this rush of adrenaline.
Chill out, yeah.
You actually feel great.
Right.
You feel awesome. You feel free.
Yeah. Do you think that anxiety is the mind's coping mechanism for preparing us for conflict?
It's
setting us up for some sort of conflict that we're going to have to overcome. So before that conflict happens, it kind of like gets us ready, makes us think about it, makes us overanalyze it, face the fears, and then when that conflict comes, boom, you're ready.
Yeah. I mean, it could be.
Yeah.
I mean, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you suffer from anxiety your whole life? Or is it something that came on later?
I was always an odd duck, so it's
me
hard.
too.
It's hard to say. Yeah, I don't. I try not to live my life in fear anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hard one.
Yeah.
It's a hard one.
I think before Christmas every year when the family was coming over, I'd hide in my room. Before a party, I wouldn't want to go. Before going into new school, which is normal, you'd have this fear. But it wasn't called anxiety when I was 10 years old.
No.
It wasn't called anything. And it wasn't until later on in life that I realized, like, oh, this is what it is.
Yeah.
And it was easier to manage then.
And by the way, everyone has
does.
anxiety.
Everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah,
everybody has fears.
But everybody deals with it differently.
And you'll never know because most people won't show you.
Correct. Yeah. So what happened after the ranch?
After the ranch, I went home and I came back and, we made some adjustments. I fired the chef and we did some figuring things out. And then I came back and I got the Beard Award and, life went on.
What changed for you after the Beard Award?
Nothing. Not a goddamn thing.
You went back to the restaurant's business as usual.
I actually I didn't even go that year.
Yeah.
I didn't go that year to the Beard Award because we were closed because we were doing renovations. And I thought it was completely inappropriate of me to go and spend $10,000 to go to the Beard Awards. And I just didn't even think I was going to win.
Is that how much it costs?
Well, it's just like, you're taking people, you're getting hotel rooms, you're going out for dinner, you're getting a dress, you're getting your face. Whole thing's it's so dumb. Yeah. And, I won, but I was in the restaurant at the time with my staff, and we all went to Scofflaw, and the Scofflaw was packed, and we just partied with everybody in Chicago. It was great. It was a good feeling.
Do you feel after hot chocolate and after overcoming everything you've overcome in your personal life, this bakery is a new start? Does it feel that way to you?
It feels like coming home.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome.
In a familiar way?
It's just, this is everything I wanted.
Yeah.
It's very personal. The bakery's very personal.
Uh-huh.
Very personal to me, very personal to my team. It's very personal to us.
Tell us about the ashtray hanging on the wall.
Okay. Unbelievable story.
So right when you walk in the bakery, right to your right, there's this little silver ashtray, maybe a cigar ashtray. It's an oval disc with like a cigarette holder in the front.
So, and would you believe that I cannot remember his name? The guy who made that?
I don't know. Tell the story first.
Okay. I can't. So, which is horrible because I've been trying to find it. Yeah. Anyway, when I was looking for space for the bakery, I was actually looking for 10,000 square feet because I wanted to do a commissary kitchen and a retail space. Mm-hmm. And so I was looking at large format buildings. And
pause 1 second. After coming from hot chocolate, you wanted to get a bigger space and do more.
I thought I wanted to do wholesale.
Okay.
I thought that you had to do wholesale to be successful. and which is crazy because it's the exact opposite.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So
you're looking for spaces.
Looking for space, and I went, and I saw it, it's always been there, this building, and it's always kind of been vacant, this beautiful building, Bow Trust building in the heart of Logan Square. And so I had an appointment to go look at it. And me and my contractor and my real estate agent went to go look at the building. And we walk in, and I knew it was somebody's art studio, but I didn't know exactly what. And so I walked in, and the son was there, and I'm looking around, and he's telling us that it was his father. His father was a sculptor, and back in the Mies van der Rohe era, and he was from Cuba, and he came here, and he worked with Judy Niedermeyer, all these like phenomenal architects, and he did large format sculptures. And we're looking around, and his, at that time, the studio was intact. Everything was there. All of his tools, all of his stuff, lots of his artwork was everywhere. And
it was still a working studio? He was still in there? Okay.
He was dead. But it was still working.
No kidding.
Yeah, but nobody was in there.
Okay.
It's just that they had never broken it down.
Yeah, right.
And
so it was like open yesterday, and the next day it was like...
Well, yeah. I mean, and the son is taking us around and telling us about his father, and I'm literally walking around, and I am like, A, getting chills, and B, overcome with emotion. Like, I could not stop crying. I was like literally cold. And I said to the guy, the kid, the son, not a kid, he was an adult. I said, I just want you to know that your father is here, and I feel him. And he is everywhere. And he like came into my body. I don't even know what the fuck happened. So we go downstairs into the basement, and he's got all this stuff, and he's got like this whole like boxes of these ashtrays. And the son was telling us that he made the ashtrays for the opening of O'Hare Airport, and those were the ashtrays that were in O'Hare Airport.
No kidding.
No. So I literally went there before I opened this up, and I put it there because I wanted his energy in the room.
Wow.
That's why I have it.
Were you... It's very interesting. Were you always a spiritual person growing up?
Yes, always.
So when did you start noticing that there's this connection with another world or spirits or enlightenment?
My earliest childhood memory that I have is of me. And I remember it. I can close my eyes and remember it. I had a dream. I was in my crib, and I had a dream that there was somebody going coochie coochie coo underneath my crib, like coochie coochie coo. And I remember it like it was yesterday. And I remember the face of the person that was doing the coochie coochie coo. And
it didn't scare you?
Swear to fucking God, it was one of my guardian angels.
Yeah.
Coochie coochie coo.
And it didn't scare you?
No.
Yeah.
No, but I remember it, and I remember it like it was yesterday. And so I just have always been in touch with the other dimension.
Yeah. But you're a religious person.
No.
Right.
No,
There's a difference between
I'm not
spiritual and
religious at all.
never mind.
I don't believe in religion.
I
believe in spirituality.
Yeah. I had one experience like that in 7th grade. My grandfather was over for dinner, and we had a nice dinner with him, and he was leaving, getting ready to go, and he was putting his jacket on. And I had this rush, this overwhelming feeling of something bad's going to happen. And I didn't know what it was. And I almost said, you can't go, don't leave. He was giving me a hug, and I felt like, you can't leave, like, don't go. And we said goodbye, and my mom closed the door, and I was just like, anxiety, just like, she's like, what's wrong? I said, I don't know. I feel like something's going to happen. And about 5 minutes later, the phone rang.
No.
And it was my best friend got hit by a car.
No.
So at that moment, that I was having that feeling was probably when the accident happened, and they had called me and said, hey, he got hit by a car, you know.
Did he die?
No, he didn't die. He broke his jaw, and he was pretty banged up. But it's the only thing that I can think of is he was my best friend. We were connected. We were always hanging out.
Yeah.
We had this connection
Yeah.
as like young, when I was 12
Yeah.
years old, whatever.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you know, as I thought it was for my grandfather, this feeling of don't go was actually my friend that was being hurt.
Right. Well,
So-
that's good. I mean, in a way. Yeah.
Well, in a way, yeah. I mean, obviously, thank God nothing
Right.
serious happened,
Yes.
but that was the only time that something like that has ever happened to me, and it was real. I know it was real.
Do you ever get like a reading or anything, or like energy work done?
I got energy work done in Bali.
Okay.
I didn't quite believe it, you know.
Okay.
We did sound healing one time. I thought it was great.
Sound bath?
Yeah, sound bath,
The
yeah.
best.
That was
There's a guy that does it in Chicago.
Oh, yeah?
And he'll like, I want to have a sound bath party.
yeah. Well, let me know. I'll fly in
Yeah.
for it. Yeah.
Right. Yes.
You should go to Bali.
I know.
It's
I
a
want to
very
go.
healing place.
Is
And I
it?
didn't know. And Will Goldfarb,
Yeah.
he kind of invited me and said, dude, you need to come hang out with us for a little bit. So I went with the intention of going to work at Room for Desserts, and I got to Ubud, and it's in the ground. It's just the most spiritual place I've ever been. And there's a great yoga school there, and I was doing yoga, and I never looked at yoga as this next level spiritual, in touch with myself. It was always, I liked stretching because it made me feel good.
Right.
And after I stretched, I kind of like, my mind was like balanced, and you know, I felt like I could go on with the day. And I got to fucking Bali, and I was taking yoga, and I started doing like guided meditation, and fuck, man, that shit happened, you know? And Will kind of explained to me that Bali is this very spiritual place. It's, you know, there's a lot of religion involved also, but just it's in the ground, it's everywhere. Everybody's so peaceful, everybody's so happy. And it fucking changed my life. You know, I'd put it high on your list of places to visit and spend a couple weeks there. You know?
All right. Let's talk about it after.
All right. Well, let's talk about it now.
Yeah, no, I want to go.
Right.
I want to go.
So you've been at this, I mean, you've been doing this a long time. You're a fucking legend in Chicago. You're a legendary pastry chef, even though it probably makes you feel uncomfortable to say that. What inspires you? What keeps you going? How do you get out of bed every morning?
Well, I get out of bed every morning because I love to do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I you know, like I told you, and this comes from the truth. I love changing people's lives.
Yeah.
And it doesn't like I told you, it could be just like, well, like I remember when you were going through what you went through, and I think I called you.
You did.
And I was like, you know, I spoke to you and I said, you know, I'm here, and
Right.
I made a connection with you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I think that those kind of things are really important.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like an intuition that you have about somebody, or something that you feel like you need to reach out to. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'm inspired by my craft, so I like being present.
Mm-hmm.
I think being present is like the best thing that you could ever do.
Right.
You know.
Well, especially in a restaurant setting.
Well, I just think that being present. I'm not always, I'm still working on it, but it's like this thing. This thing. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I went, Saturday night, I went out for dinner with a couple of people, and we were at this restaurant, and there were people everywhere
On their phones.
just taking selfies everywhere.
Right.
It's like,
What are you going to do with that?
do you
It's like taking pictures of fireworks. What are you going to fucking do with that picture?
What are you ever gonna do? Like, do you ever really look at your pictures?
Yeah.
And like, and by the way, no one cares about your pictures.
Totally.
Other than you.
Yeah.
No one cares. So when people take pictures of food and you post it, no one cares.
Yeah.
Truth be told.
No one on their deathbed said, I wish I would have taken more selfies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me about your staff here and how they're inspired every day.
Well, I have a wonderful team.
Mm-hmm.
I have a really, really, really great chef who's been working with me for a very long time. Bo, he's wonderful. And I have another girl that's helps run the kitchen, Karen, who worked for me for years at Hot Chocolate,
Mm-hmm.
and then left and became a pastry chef. And I asked her to come back, and she did, and I hope she's happy. But, I have most of the people that have been working here for, Rosie's been working for over 20 years.
Jesus.
So, I've had Luis has been working with me for like 13 years. And so I have a lot of longevity.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want my staff to be happy. I want them to work in a safe environment. I want them to work hard, and I want them to play hard and rest hard and, save their money and make enough money where they can save money so they can retire. And, it works.
Mm-hmm.
I give them a lot of freedom.
Yeah. Mine and Matthew's outlook for the restaurant is you have to have something outside the restaurant that keeps you interested, a hobby,
Yes.
exercise, something like this is not your life. We're not a family, even though we're really close and we're working close together every day. But the employees, that's our thing is, and we'll help you find something. If you don't know what to do, we'll help you find something. But you have to have something else besides the restaurant industry.
I agree.
Otherwise, it's you're
You're
coming here,
100%
you're gonna burn
right.
out so fast.
100%. 100%. Most of my staff they all have
Right.
lives outside of here.
Yeah.
So I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, good.
I have a really good team.
Yeah. Above the door, it says, I love you, I love you, I love you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, my father, he really worked at Hot Chocolate with me very closely, and we were very close. And my father was a great man, and he passed away 5 years ago. And in the hospital, before he passed away, he couldn't speak at the time. And I need to tell you a story about my father, okay, after this.
Okay.
And he looks at me and my brother and my mother, and he mouthed, I love you, I love you, I love you. And see what I'm doing right now with this okay sign? Good life.
Yeah.
Good life. He did this. You see this?
Yeah.
See that right there? Now, the only people that were in the room were me, my brother, and my mother. That's it. So, a couple days later, my dad passes away. We're all there. It was beautiful. It was so fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, goddamn, death can be beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. He was there. We had all made peace with him, loved him, told him we were going to take care of Mom. Everything was great. And 2 weeks after he died, I'm walking in the alley to go to work, and I see Bill Kim walking towards me. Now, Bill was a very instrumental chef in the inception of Hot Chocolate, because what the fuck did I know about expediting?
Yeah.
Zero. So the first couple of weeks that I was open, Eric Williams, Bill came and helped us, service. And so my parents very close with Eric and Bill and Yvonne, it was very close. And so, I think my father always looked as like Bill Kim as one of my guardian angels, And so he's walking towards me, and he's very serious. And I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, I need to tell you something. And I said, okay. He said, I just want you to know, guess who came to visit me the other night? And I said, who? And he's like, Irv, my dad.
No way.
And he goes, he wanted me to tell you something. And at this point, Bill, and I'm sorry if Bill hears this, he was uncontrollably crying.
Yeah.
I could not help him stop crying. And he goes, he wanted me to tell you that everything's okay.
Holy shit.
I'm not kidding. I am not kidding.
I just got goosebumps.
I know.
Wow.
Bill Kim. I knew he would, if he was going to go to somebody, it would be someone like Bill.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Great story.
Yeah.
And what would he think of the bakery right now?
I think he's so proud of me.
Yeah.
So proud of me. My father was notorious for stealing cookies and shoving them in his mouth and then walking down the kitchen to the office with this big like chipmunk cheek, and he would go like this. He'd go shh, like don't tell my mom, because my mom was in the office and my mom didn't want him eating a lot of cookies. It was really cute, very cute.
We're in a weird spot in the industry right now.
Are we?
I don't know. Are we?
I'm out of touch.
But you got to know. Staffing.
Yeah, we're in a
people
weird industry.
leaving.
Yeah.
Besides, you're doing a lot here to retain staff. What else should we be doing in the industry in your mind? what else can we do? Because I think we're kind of in a little bit of a funk right now.
I think
it's not cool anymore to be working in a restaurant.
No, it's not.
It's not at all.
I think, it's hard to say. I don't know how to say what I want to say right now. I don't know. I would feel very sorry for people that are opening restaurants right now. Sorry. I can't help it. But I think the only thing you can do is, if you have a good core people, you got to keep them happy. Mm-hmm. And you got to just work in an environment that's positive and is open and is almost like makes it fun for them to work hard. Mm-hmm. It's not all about the compensation. It's about their quality of life.
Quality of life.
So, my staff doesn't work. They work 40 hours a week, maybe less.
Right. And
they get paid for 40 hours a week. And, I feel like they all have 2 days off in a row. They work 5 days a week. Mm-hmm. They can take time off when they want to. So I think that my staff lives well.
Yeah. I would much rather have
5 people than 15 people.
That also. Yeah. We have what we need for the restaurant we're building in Nashville is we need 3 guys on the line, 1 expediter, and probably 2 or 3 prep cooks. Smaller, tighter menu. Yeah. Not overextended. Exactly. Yeah. This is what we fucking got. So this is the menu. This is what we fucking got, man. If you don't want it, maybe it's not the place for you. You know.
Well, so that's interesting because you brought up a very good point. So we don't have espresso. Mm-hmm. We only have drip coffee.
Yeah, we're not doing coffee. We're not doing any coffee.
Steaming.
Yeah.
Well, I have.
You have to. Obviously.
We're not steaming hot chocolate anymore because it's not hot chocolate anymore. In fact, I don't even know why I'm serving hot chocolate anymore.
Do you feel free from that? Like that? Well, I mean, that was your persona for the longest time.
We don't cut bagels and we don't schmear bagels. We rip and dip here, and we don't reheat anything. Everything is fresh, or we're not selling it. Yep. And it's basically because I'm not going to pay somebody to cut their hand.
Right.
And, it's a liability. And I'm not going to have somebody spend 10 minutes on a drink. That's not the kind of place we are. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I've seen a couple of comments that were made that, like, it's not, like the hot chocolate's not like the restaurant. Well, no, it's not.
No,
because
it's not at all.
Hot chocolate.
Right. Yeah, duh.
It's actually a different recipe. Mm-hmm. It's just different.
Yeah.
Everything is different. Like, it's not. This is Mindy's Bakery. It's not hot chocolate. We're not doing service. And it's like everything's to go. And it's like there really isn't a dining room in here. It's like you take it and you leave.
Right. But don't you think those points that you just made are your maturity of owning a business and cutting the fat and just being smarter about things?
Yes.
I mean, I think it just has to do with age and experience.
Right. You have to build a business model that actually makes sense for as little team as possible.
Correct. That's what we're doing.
And cross-train.
Yes.
And know that you could actually go during service, you could survive with 2 people on the line, 1 host, you know what I mean? The host can also do expedite or whatever when you're not busy. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you're not opening up a 500-seat restaurant that cost $4.5 million.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine? I've been saying this since the pandemic. The trend that I'm seeing is smaller restaurants, smaller teams, smaller menus, uber local, uber focused, and that's it.
Yeah, well, there are people out there that are opening up large restaurants, and I don't understand why they're doing it.
Why? It's a recipe for disaster.
Why would you want to sit in a room, a cold box room, that it just empty. Makes no sense? Right. Well, it makes no sense, and it's like, I don't know. It's my opinion. Yeah. I don't have to understand it. I just don't have to, but yeah.
Yeah. So where are you going after here? What's
tonight?
Next for, no, not tonight.
Going home.
What is next? What are you thinking about? Are you just content with this right now?
I'm not thinking about anything. Yeah. I'm not building this, growing this. This is it. Yeah. This is my life. My life is my bakery. If you want my pastry, you'll come to my bakery. I'm not expanding. I can't be at 2 places at once. I never will be able to do that again. Mm-hmm. I have my edible company, I have my bakery, and that's it. Yeah. And I'm super happy with that.
What more do you need?
I don't need anything more. I'm in my downswing. I'm about to retire soon. The next 10 years. I'm still baking. I love it.
Yeah. I think that's it. And we covered a lot.
We did.
It's always amazing talking to you. You're an extremely
I love
inspiring.
you.
You're an extremely inspiring
Thank
person,
you.
and we've been friends for a long time. And I
We
truly
have.
value your friendship. And I'm glad to see that you're on this journey, on this
Great journey.
new plateau.
New plateau.
It's
Great journey.
This was great talking to you.
It's enlightenment.
Enlightenment. Well, I think one thing to remember is, at least for me, is it's a work in progress.
Totally.
And there's still things that I get triggered by that I thought that I had that under control, and it still triggers me. But what's different is I know it's
You're aware.
coming.
I know.
I know it's coming.
You're self-aware.
I know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Here it comes, Ryan, and I don't freak out and flip out like I used to, and I let
Right.
it pass through, take a deep breath, and let it pass through.
We must forgive ourselves for the mistakes we made in the past.
Correct. You have to be bamboo.
Yeah.
Bend and sway, but never break.
There you go. I love it.
Let's
God
end on
bless
that
you.
note. Thank
Bless
you.
you.
Thank
Bless
you,
you.
Mindy Segal.